the random draw is set up for a Silver Creek Brownstown final.
But they all set up pretty well.
It's interesting how that works out, huh?
It is, yeah.
Just show it 1 year. I want to see that. I want to see.
They used to.
Not anymore. Not since I've been watching. Welcome back to the sectional preview show. We're going to post all these pretty much at the same time, but this is 3A.
Yep.
I want to separate it so people can kind of watch it. We went over 4A, so I'll link that video below. This is 3A, probably the sectional I'm most excited for over all of them.
Yeah, one of the best in the state, not just Southern Indiana. Right?
Yeah, because I think 1A is the same, but you got a lot of top-ranked team. This 3A one, you have Silver Creek and Brownstown, who are ranked 6 and 7 in the state in the same sectional.
Yep.
And then Charlestown is
home.
Right there at home. Like I said, you didn't give me your official answer. How many points do you think? Okay, Seymour is Seymour. Mm-hmm. How many points should you give Charlestown at home?
4 to 6.
4 or 6?
4 to 6.
So we got sectional 3A here, sectional 30. It's at Charlestown. Last year hosted at Scottsburg, so I know Chad Gilbert and Coach Lynch are glad to have that back. Mm-hmm. And probably the nicest gym in Indiana. Not most historic, but nicest. They added a lot of really cool things. So top three teams, I think me and you, again, would agree pretty darn close to Silver Creek, Brownstown, Charlestown.
There it is. Yep.
So we have Charlestown ended 17-5. Silver Creek ended 20-4. Brownstown ended 21-2. I do want to say both losses were to a 4A contender for the sectional 15. So
not bad losses.
Not bad losses at all. Corden 16-6, playing pretty good right now.
Okay.
Madison 9-14. I do want to say Coach Danny Gibson, his first year, has done an absolute phenomenal job at Madison.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, things could have gone south for Madison real quick when a couple of their players decided not to play, but he's definitely got the most out of their talent. Landon True, Mason Davis, Damon Harden, 3-point snipers, all of them.
We got to coach against him up at the holiday tournament. Great coach. His team was bought in. I really think there's a bright future for Madison. Hopefully they keep him. I know there's been some turnover there in the last 10 to 15 years, but
I mean he's a Madison guy. He played pro ball for a long time, so I definitely like what's coming up, and I like him coaching.
Yeah, so pretty brutal schedule too for a 3A team. They played good. They played good talent. They played hard schedule. So
I believe they just got admitted into the MSC. So I think they're
official.
I've seen that. So maybe not 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen.
Maybe around June we should do another video. But I do think there's some switch up. I know there's some people trying to get the PLAC. Okay. That's trying to get in the MSC. I think there's going to be some turnover and switching around there.
And that would be that. I mean, that's good for Madison. They're in their sectional. They play all those teams, so sure.
And then we have North Harrison, who is 6-15, rounding out that sectional. Let's talk about the top 3 players. I think again, me and you are probably going to disagree on this.
At least,
and I do want to say Brownstown. I could be wrong. We've talked about they don't put a ton out in the press.
Yep.
But their point guard, I think, is it Pierre?
Yep.
Got another concussion, and he's really struggling right now. So keep him in your prayers. I do think Brownstown has been a little bit on the struggle bus, losing that just complete ball handler, doesn't need to score. We'll talk a little bit more about the personnel there, but we just want to say shout out and prayers to the family there, and I know they're working through that.
Yeah,
so
hopefully he gets healthy. Maybe he can get a game in next week.
Yeah. So give me your top. I made you go first for 4A, so I'll go first.
All right.
I had a little bit of change up, I think, with the Silver Creek team. And if you didn't watch the 4A one, it's top 3 players, and you cannot have more than one person for a team, which just really screws you over for this one, too. Yeah. Literally could pick 3 Silver Creek players if you wanted.
Or 4.
Or 4 or 5. So my number 1, a transfer from Jeff, is Anthony French. Ethan French,
a new
Charlestown.
Guy.
He's a new guy. Charlestown. Anthony Fresh. Just really love his game, man. I think he's averaging 20 points a game right now. He had 2 or 3 30-point games. He's athletic. He can shoot. I really think he's a junior all-star candidate. I really do. I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to push that out there. Fresh to death. He's the real deal. Yep.
Yeah. If there's a high school NIL, that'd be Fresh to death. T-shirts. And everything.
Yeah, for sure.
I got him as my number 1 for the best players, and these aren't in any order. I actually had a player from Silver Creek at number 2. Did some research. I changed it. I think Dane Caldwell had an unbelievable most improved player from last year to this year, really this summer. As we post him, he's dunking Dane. We've made some trying to trademark it, get him another NIL deal if it's legal with some Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah,
he's averaging 17 points and 9 rebounds a game right now. So it was hard for me not to put anybody else. You could put Brandon Hunter, who was averaging a triple-double at some point. You could put Dane Sprigler, who's been shooting lights out ball. You could put Case and Deck. So it's like that thing, like me you talk about.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go with Dane Caldwell because we post him the most, and I think he's a really good player. And if you take him out of that Silver Creek team, I think you feel it really hard. Mm-hmm. So, and then my fourth player, don't know how many points per game he has, but he just scored 1,000, so I'm going Colby Hall.
Yep.
He's had an unbelievable end of the season.
He has. His second semester, he's been killing it.
Yeah, so coaches, please reach out to this guy. He does want to play college basketball, and I know there's not a lot that gets pushed out within the program, but he is a college-ready player. So those are my three: Anthony Fresh, Dane Caldwell, Colby Hall. Tell me who you got.
Well, I've got two of the three the same. I got Anthony Fresh at Charlestown. I mean, like you said, junior all-star. I don't see how he's not with the year he's been having. Just been killing it against everybody. I mean, the beginning of the year, from the start of the year against Silver Creek, when he put 25, 30 some on them. So he's been killing it. I'm going to go Colby Hall because the second semester he's kind of stepped up his game. Just big fundamental, right? He's just been a center all his life playing in there, and he's just killing you softly and quietly.
One of the most impressive things lately is, well, one, Lane Pendleton shooting the crap out the ball, too, at this time. Is his cross-court passes and Colby's pass. It's always been good. Mm-hmm. I know when Joshua and Colby and Chase were together, you literally just put him in the middle of anything, and he would just pass out. But his passing against the competition they're playing has just been top tier. I'm really impressed with that.
I think he's always had a little bit of a three-point shot, but this year, I mean, you can really see it becoming consistent too. It's been consistently good, and he's hitting it a lot. And here's the big question.
It really is a toss-up. That's the thing.
Because one night Caldwell, he might give you 20 and 2 or 3 highlight dunks. Brandon Hunter give you a triple dub. Any given night. Dager might go off for 25 and get hot from 3, and Sprigler could lock your best team's player up and
drop 20
and still score. So, I mean, if I'm gonna pick one right now, I'll just go ahead and say Brandon Hunter, assists, rebounds, what he does and sets everybody up, kind of the orchestrator of that team, gets everybody in the right spots, and as we saw against New Albany, he can shoot a little bit too if he needs to.
Cool. So you have Anthony, Colby, and
Brandon.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's go over the records a little bit. We already went over the records. Let's talk a little bit about the teams. Charlestown. I want to talk about this. One, I really like Charlestown. They are they're an era team. We've done their media days for a couple of years. I really like working with them. Coach Lynch. You got Coach Shannon on your bench. The whole coaching staff for them is top tier.
It's a New Albany bench over at Charlestown.
It really is. One thing I do have to shout out, their whole team's playing good. Parker Oldle at the end of the season has been shooting unbelievable.
That corner 3 with the lefty is just money.
I don't know what you want to do, if you want to stop Fresh and put 2 on him and leave Parker out there, but hey, Parker is shooting lights out, so I have to shout him out. They lost to Brownstown by 3. They lost to Silver Creek by 11 in the second game of the year. Mm-hmm. And then they lost to Corden by 8, and they didn't have 2 starters at that game. And then at the end of the year, right now, they just ended on a 6-game win streak. So I think, like we said, they're playing really good basketball, but they're ranked 23 in the state for 3A, and I think they're going to be a sneaky. I mean, they didn't get blown out by any team.
Yeah, given night. They just about had Brownstown. It was at Brownstown. They were missing 2 players, and they came within probably 0.3 or 4 seconds to go to overtime. Fresh hit a half-court shot that just didn't count. It was a little bit too late. So Charlestown, man, don't just think it's going to be Silver Creek Brownstown Saturday night. Charlestown will have something to say about that.
We'll break that down and get back into the teams. We have 6 teams here as well, so just Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. The 6 p.m. game, we have North Harrison and Charlestown. The 7:30 game, we have Corden and Silver Creek. And then waiting buys on that is Brownstown on Friday night and Madison. So, again, the random draw is set up for a Silver Creek Brownstown final. But
they all set up pretty well.
It's
every
interesting how that
sectional.
works out, huh?
It is, yeah.
Just show it 1 year. I want to see that. I want to see.
They used to.
Well,
They
not
used to.
anymore. Not since I've been watching. So
I mean, you want to go into the seeded sectional debate? I mean, I
I'm
know
all about it.
You like it.
I love it.
I'm cool with it. A lot of people say, just play who's in front of you, and I get that aspect, but it would be cool to have like the regular season games mean something, which means you would have to play everybody in your sectional. That would be something you'd have to
I
start.
think too, like a lot of the coaches are like, oh, well, we just play man defense in the regular season. We don't show anything that will show in sectionals. It would kind of change that. Like you would have to play your best game. I mean, you got to think like in this one, if Silver Creek and Charlestown are playing each other and they want that number 1 seed.
I want to avoid Charlestown as long as possible.
So Silver Creek's gonna, if you get that 1 seed, then you're you would draw like North Harrison or Madison instead of drawing, I guess I got Corden, but yeah, I would love to see a seeded sectional. But we'll go back to the teams here. Like we said, Brownstown takes 2 losses. I think what was it, 37 games straight winning streak.
It was, yeah.
So that was super cool to see that, but then it did come to an end versus Jeff. So sorry about it. I mean, that's who you had to play.
Yeah.
I think
makes you better. A loss to Jeff, that's fine. At Jeff.
I think both of us thought going to that game though was going to be a little closer than it was, but
I did. I'm like 0 for a million on calling Brownstown games, so I'm
so hard
done with
you
that.
can never bet against them.
Yeah.
Like my gut is always like, okay, Dave Benner's on the sideline. How do I say the other team's going to win? So never goes well for me. And then so their 2 losses are against 2 really good teams, and then the I think I have to go with Silver Creek to win this sectional.
Okay,
is my pick, but like I always have to justify. And I hate picking against Brownstown. I really
what I
do.
would say with that, why Silver Creek would be favored is because that Brownstown Charlestown game might be just a complete toss up.
That and one. Silver Creek's going to get it this year or next. I don't know which one. They lose one senior in Walker, who I'm not sure how many he's averaging, but I love Walker, but he hasn't been an offensive threat or a defensive threat to be like, oh, that hole can't get filled. You have an entire junior class coming up with 2 sophomores, and so one of these years it's going to get it. The only thing I could say would be, and Charlestown's kind of in the same boat, would be if Brownstown out physicals them.
Yep.
Physicals, is that a word?
Yeah, it is now.
It is to me.
Yeah.
If Brownstown plays their Coach Reed May football hard self.
And that's what happened in the first game. They bullied him.
So that could happen. But again, when I've watched a team consistently shoot like 70% from the 3-point line in big games, it's hard for me to pick against them because 3-point covers up a lot of crap. I don't care what you're doing down low or what you're doing defensively. If you're hitting 20, which I watched Scottsburg 2 years ago, maybe. I think they hit 21 threes. Was that it? Against Silver Creek at Charlestown. It was one of the most unbelievable performances. I think Silver Creek can do that same thing and just cover up whatever defense they want.
Something a little interesting. I'm not sure how this ends up, but if Brownstown wins the regional, sectional, and regional, they may move into 4A ball since they would have enough points from last year's state title and this year's regional title.
And that's just so stupid. We talked about it, the 4A one.
And then if Silver Creek wins sectional and regional this year and then maybe wins state next year, then
that's an automatic 4A,
then
I
they're
think, because
4A.
That's what would have happened and the COVID happened when they went in the 2 state teams. They should have been 4A, but so stupid point rule. I really hate it. One, okay, there's 2 ways to think about this. Silver Creek has consistently made really good talent and really good talent and really good talent. A team like Scottsburg, you're going to get what you're going to get. And those 5, 6, 7 boys that graduated, you're not going to get that again for a while. So it's like, sucks for them.
Well, they'll be back where they belong here in a couple years.
Yeah, it all even out. Like we did in the 4A one, kind of got to go over wins and losses, and feedback if you disagree with any of these. Brownstown, their best win was probably Columbus East by 30, and their worst loss was Jeff by over 20. So
yeah, when you only have two losses to choose from,
yeah, it was cool to see the Fishers on this. It's just like their worst loss, and then it was just empty. So it's really cool to see that. And then I think it's Washington Catholic in they're 0-20, so their worst win was just empty.
Let's keep this positive here. We're not going to go towards Washington Catholic.
Charlestown, their best win. I don't really agree with this one. I probably should have changed it, but they said Heritage Hills by 30. Good win. I don't think it's their best.
No, I mean, beating them by 30 is nice, but probably not the best team win.
And
They
then
had so many close calls. They're just right there against Silver Creek, Brownstown, some of these teams. They're just so close.
And I said that, and I go to our Instagram channel. I don't want anybody to clip this and be like, he's a Silver Creek hater. Literally 10 out of 15 posts are Silver Creek.
Uh-huh.
If Silver Creek has a bad shooting night,
Yeah, everybody. It could happen to anybody.
it is a different ballgame. But I haven't seen it. I've seen it maybe once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
If they have a bad shooting night, then maybe somebody can sneak in. But
The problem is they've got 3-4 different
if
good
one
shooters.
is off, then the other one can come back. And then Charlestown worst loss was by 8 to Corden. Madison, their best win was North Decatur. They won by like 30 plus.
Yeah.
And their worst loss was Christian Academy by 15.
Okay.
Not a great loss. North Harrison, their best win was against Lanesville, and their worst loss was against Indian Creek. They lost by 50 plus.
Ouch.
So that one hurt. Silver Creek, they beat Jennings County by 40. There's some smack talk at the game. I had a shooter there. There's smack talk that at the beginning of the game somebody said, I think Jennings County went up 5-0 early or whatever it was, and they're like, it's gonna be a long night, and then
Should have just stopped the game right there.
There you go. They ended up losing by 40, and then their worst Silver Creek's loss was to Brownstown. I think they lost by 18. So
Yeah, they jumped out quick on them. You know how you talked about Silver Creek shooting. Brownstown shot the lights out against them.
and that's the thing. I watched. I think it was versus Jennings County.
Okay.
Yeah, it was versus Jennings County. Brownstown hits 19 threes.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Just watching that performance was like, oh my gosh, dude. I had it solidified as Silver Creek as my winner, and then I've watched the end of the season. And like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, the biggest thing for Brownstown right now is that they're putting a lot on, and somebody we haven't talked about at all was Chase Coomer.
Yeah.
Unbelievable player, but now he has to be in a role where he has to bring the ball up, guard the best player on the other team, and try to be their leading scorer.
Well, yeah, score at least 15, 16, 17
And that's
points.
not easy for anybody, let alone in the 3A, best 3A sectional in the state. So, what are we looking like on some other players here? I want to make sure we don't miss anybody. We know our Charlestown players. We've talked about Silver Creek. Now we've talked about Brownstown, Chase Coomer, Lane Pendleton, Colby Hall.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you talk about three-point shooting, Madison has some three-point shooters. I mean, they could get super hot and make it interesting for, a half or three quarters. I think Silver Creek's just going to end up wearing them down with their height, but they could get really hot from three. And they will take their shots. I mean,
they're going to shoot it.
If they miss the first 5 or 6, it doesn't matter. They're going to keep shooting.
And then we got Corden. You got Fessel,
Yep.
T-Mac,
Yeah.
a few other players that are really good in Corden. One thing about Corden is they don't have like the star player, but they just have 5 players there on the court that play hard. And I really think with Coach Hinton, you got a line of Hall of Fame coaches as your family. Coach yourself to a win there. So
Silver Creek right out of the gate is going to be tough.
yeah, so we'll see. They got a lot of good players there. So yeah, those are some really good players. What are if the winner of this will end up having to face Guerin Catholic at some point? Have you got to watch them at all this year? I know they're really good. They gave Silver Creek one of their only losses earlier in the season.
Yeah,
They're always good.
Yeah, Bryson Cardinals maybe an Indiana All-Star. New Pal's going to be waiting eventually with Gizzy, another Indiana All-Star. Cathedral or Addicts will be there in the mix.
We didn't talk about that. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that, dude.
Princeton, all 3A South is a monster.
You have in the same sectional Crispus Addicts and Cathedral. So, playing on that Friday night probably.
Yep.
So at least one of them is going to be out of there. But yeah, I forgot, man. I think you could probably take 6 or 7 3A teams and they could compete at 4A to get to that semi-state if you threw them in random places. So 3A is loaded this year. Again, at Corden, we'll be covering this sectional. So follow us for all of the updates, and we will see you next time.